Thanks for holding today's hearing. The lack of transparency from big tech companies and the effect these companies have on consumers is concerning to the public, and rightfully so. Because of the secrecy with which big tech protects their algorithms and content moderation practices, we have little idea how these companies use algorithms to amplify or suppress content, or how they can affect the behavior of users without their knowledge. Tomorrow, the Communications Subcommittee, on which I serve as ranking member, will take a closer look at the effects of this persuasive technology, and I look forward to hearing from the panel about the details of how algorithms and artificial intelligence are designed and deployed on internet platforms to manipulate users, as well as the bigger picture about what the future might hold for us when corporations and governments know more information about each of us than we know about ourselves. We must find ways to improve more transparency and accountability into the algorithms deployed on internet platforms that select the content that billions of people see every day. Since hearing from the Facebook whistleblower, we now have more insight into Instagram and Facebook's troubling practices with regard to how it uses algorithms, and in my view, it's long past time for Congress to enact legislation to ensure that these companies are held accountable. There's also bipartisan support for shedding more light on the secretive content moderation processes big tech uses, I should say, and to provide consumers more options when engaging with internet platforms, which is why I've introduced two bipartisan bills to address these issues, the PACT Act and the Filter Bubble Transparency Act. And I look forward in the time that I have to discussing these issues with you today, Mr. Masseri. And let me start by just asking, does Instagram use persuasive technology, meaning technology that is designed to change people's attitudes and behaviors?
Senator, I've worked on ranking and algorithms for years, and that's not how we work. We use ranking to try and connect people with the friends that they find meaningful, and we use them to try and keep people safe.
The Wall Street Journal revealed that Instagram often ignored warnings about the harmful impact the platform had on users, particularly young girls. With that being said, do you believe consumers should be able to use Instagram without being manipulated by algorithms that are designed to keep them hooked on the platform? And would you support giving consumers more options when engaging on Instagram's platform? For instance, providing consumers a feed that's not being fed to them by algorithms or that is in a chronological order.
Senator, I believe it's important that people have control of their experience. So yes, I would support giving people the option to have a chronological feed.
On the issue of Section 230 reform, Senator Schatz and I have introduced legislation that would, among other things, require platforms like Instagram to provide for more due process to users regarding their moderation and censorship practices, and submit public transparency reports about content that has been removed or de-emphasized. Do you believe this provision would help build trust with Instagram's users?
Senator, we believe in more transparency and accountability, and we believe in more control. That's why we're currently working on a version of a chronological feed that we hope to launch next year. That's why we provide a number of ways for you to see how content moderation works on the platform. So for instance, today you can go to the Account Center, I believe it's called Account Status, and see any of your content that has been taken down. And that's why we're working on more ways to give people more control over their experience and create more transparency about how Instagram works.
Do you believe that algorithm explanation or algorithm transparency are appropriate policy responses?
I believe very strongly in algorithmic transparency. I think it'd be hard for you to find someone who's tried as much to explain how ranking works. There's a number of ways to be transparent. I think in some cases, the most effective is to look at the output of algorithms like we do in our community guidelines enforcement report. And in other cases, it's more appropriate to explain how they work instead of releasing millions of lines of code. Apologies.
And could you just elaborate a little bit on, when you talk about giving consumers a feed that's not being fed to them by an algorithm or that is in a chronological order? You said that you're going to implement that policy beginning next year. How do you came to that decision, and sort of more specifically, what the dates for that implementation, and maybe if you could elaborate a little bit on just exactly what that might look like?
Absolutely, Senator. So we've been focused for a few years now on how to give people more control over their experience. One idea that we've experimented with publicly is called favorites, where you can pick a subset of people you want to have show up at the top of feed. Another we've been working on for months now is a chronological version of Instagram. I wish I had a specific month to tell you right now, but right now we're targeting the first quarter of next year.
Okay. And we would like to take what you're proposing to do and codify it, and that's what the Filter Bubble Act does. Thank you, Madam.